Hello, viewers. Welcome to another edition of my UAE story here on K Official. Yeah, so today we have another personality in our midst who's sharing with us his story here in the UAE. We'll go for a quick break. We'll be right back. Welcome to K Official. This is your number one channel that brings you the most exciting content that you can ever think of. Yes, and this is our podcast session.
Get all these and many more on K Official Studios YouTube channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Yes, viewers, welcome back. And like I said, we have an interesting personality here with us again to share with us his story whilst here in the UAE. So, Mr. Lawrence, you're welcome to K Official.
Hi, Joe. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yes. First off, can you introduce yourself a bit to us?
Hi, televiewers. My name is Lawrence Billy Grahams Numfo. I come from Cameroon.
Right. Okay. So, we are moving straight to our question. So you mentioned Cameroon. So can you please tell us a little bit about Cameroon? Maybe someone wants to visit Cameroon. What are some of the interesting places that the person can visit and what to expect?
Thank you so much. Cameroon is a beautiful country,
Hmm.
full of grassland,
Mm.
forests, and beautiful streams and rivers flowing from the mountain tops down to the valleys. It has beautiful forests and play parks to visit. And if anyone is aspiring to visit Cameroon, first of all, it's a very welcoming country. We
Mm.
speak both English and French. It's the
Great.
two official languages in Cameroon. And if you're expecting to or aspiring to visit Cameroon, then be ready to see things that you've never seen before. I'm talking about wildlife. I'm
Mm.
talking about beautiful parks.
Mm.
And I'm talking about fast flowing rivers and streams.
So like safaris and all that, we can
Exactly.
get that in Cameroon. So,
Exactly.
which part of Cameroon are you from?
Actually, I'm from the English part of Cameroon.
Okay, okay. That's interesting. I hope to visit Cameroon one of these days.
For sure, definitely. It's an interesting place.
Yeah. So, fast forward, we'll move straight into you being here in the UAE. So, my first question will be, what actually triggered you to come to UAE, and which year did you enter into the UAE?
Well, I'll begin by answering the second question.
Okay,
I came into UAE on the 15th of March, 2014.
2014. Wow,
So this is actually my 10th
10th
year.
year, exactly. 10 years.
And of course, the first question is what triggered me to
Yeah,
come to UAE? Just like any other aspiring youth who want to make it in life,
yeah.
I moved to UAE because I want to better my future. I
Okay.
want to better the future of my family. I am the only surviving son of my father and my mother. And of course, at that
Wow.
time, they were already aging. So I
Okay.
needed to sit up, I needed to stand up, go beyond extremes to make sure that I give them a better life. So with that, I started thinking of what or which country to visit.
Yeah.
And at that time, the visas to UAE were very easy to acquire.
Acquire. Okay.
I tried other countries. The procedures were long. The United States of America, it was a long procedure. I even tried South Africa. It was a very long procedure.
Mm.
And this one came as an opportunity and I grabbed it. However, I was just coming to explore, like for vacation, I explore and go back. But when I came, I saw that the land is so beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
There are so many opportunities.
Yeah.
And I changed my mind. I decided to like start job searching.
Okay.
So that is actually what brought me into UAE.
Okay. So the mindset actually was not to really settle, but when you came around, you saw the opportunity
Well,
and you
what
grabbed it.
actually really
Mm.
triggered me to come was at that time I lost my both parents. So it
Wow.
was a kind of emotionally loaded for me, and I needed a new environment to distract and come back to myself. When
Okay.
I came, my mindset changed.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right. So that's really great. So we'll move straight into when you came. The first day you came. How did you settle? Was it easy for you? You just came, you booked your hotel, you checked in, and then you start touring around, and the opportunity came to you, a job like you were interested in came, and then you started working.
Honestly, it wasn't a beautiful beginning. I never lived in a hotel. When I was
Interesting.
coming, I had this picture in mind, like in Cameroon, we say you the fall bush, like you're
Okay.
going overseas. And I had
Okay.
this picture in mind, like I'm going overseas, I'm going to live very beautifully.
Yeah, you're going to
But
blow.
yes, I'm going to blow. But when I came, the person who received me here took me to a building, like a villa. And I'm like, wow, I'm going to live in a big villa. But when I got into the room, we grew up in a secondary school where in a
Yeah,
dormitory
dormitory is
life.
like,
I saw so many beds. I'm like, are there students living here? Or they
bunk
said, no,
beds.
man, welcome to UAE. This is where you're gonna be living. And they showed me a bed right up there.
Mm,
And I'm like, this is me who was teaching in a secondary school, going to dormitory and seeing students sleeping on these beds. It's
yeah.
me to climb on this bed right now and sleep. Honestly, it wasn't very easy for me
Mm,
to begin life in that direction. But as an aspiring somebody, someone who wants to make it in life,
yeah,
even if it means sleeping on the floor,
you
you
would
can
have
sleep
to.
to begin life. Yes, that's how I encouraged myself. Sleep on a bunk bed, and the following morning I saw like so many dots on my body, like blood.
Insects.
Yes, I didn't know what that was. When I inquired, they said these are bed bugs. I've never seen bed bugs with my naked eyes before. Here that I
First
came
time
to
in
see.
you saw bedbugs in
Definitely,
UAE.
yeah.
Okay, um, so after that, what happened? Did the person take you to any company for you to start work, or you had to go from one company to the other to search for work yourself?
Behold, it was a terrible experience because even the amount of dollars that I had on me,
Mm.
right at the airport, he collected the money from my hands.
That's the agent.
The
Oh,
agent who actually processed my document, he collected the money from my hands and said, "Oh, I'm going to use this money for this. I'm going to use this money for that." But he did nothing. He never did anything. So I went into shock. Fortunately, I had some savings back home. They had to transfer the savings.
mm,
I started doing my CVs, and of course, I was learned enough.
okay.
I knew which website I could visit to apply for jobs, and within 3 weeks, behold, I don't even know how I applied for that job. A company called me and said, "Is this Mr. Lawrence? Please, we're inviting you for an interview. We received your CV." I don't know when I applied.
Mhm.
Yeah, and people in that same room were so surprised because they've been there for months. They've renewed their visas. They've never
Over
had
and
a
over.
call. So sometimes I think I want to say divine intervention is very, very important in one's
In
life
one's
if you
life.
actually do believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I went for this interview. Then I was so slim, very cute guy at that time.
You're still cute though.
These ones were not there yet. I was much younger. So I put on this jacket in Cameroon. We call it a petticoat. This vest.
Vest. Okay.
Yeah, vest with my
Yeah.
trouser and the white shirt. I hung my bag. I went for the interview. I was quite early. I was asked to come at 8, but I was there at 7.
Good.
And behold, I thought I was the only one invited. So immediately after the interview, when I was stepping out of the office, I saw a queue, a long line of applicants who were actually invited. I was like, oh my God, these are people who have been in this country before me. And
Mm.
I just came, it's not been 1 month. So I'm not sure
You're going to.
I'm going to get that position. But behold, when I left the interview ground and went back to that same bed space,
Mm.
we have it was very hot at that time. It's not now that we in 2015 the UAE government started this operation Go Green.
Go green. Yeah.
Everywhere was dry, dusty. I remember some of my Italian shoes that I wore costing 35,000 francs in Cameroon.
Yeah.
Suddenly, the
The
bottom
heat.
part, yeah, removed part of the shoe. I didn't even notice. So when I received this call that afternoon, when I was called back, I went. When I got back to the interview ground, I still saw this queue there.
Mm.
And then I went directly, and the HR said, "Mr. Lawrence, congratulations. We are taking you for this position. In as much as you have people out there, we are offering you this
This.
position. Not because you really merit it, but
Mm.
because your appearance
Wow.
as you came, we love your addressing, and we want to put you uh, into this position." It was just a receptionist position. This is me coming, working in a radio house. This is me teaching students from
Students.
Cameroon. This is me pastoring a church, then coming here, working as a receptionist in a church, in a building. So it's a kind of challenge, but then I took it because I know life, you can begin life from
Yes.
somewhere at
And
any
then
time.
you end up. Wow. This is very, very interesting. And I'm learning a lot myself. So um I'll take you back a little bit
Yeah,
because you
sure.
made mention of you as a radio personality, a teacher, and also pastoring a church. That will be in Cameroon.
In Cameroon.
Yeah. So can you run us through how all that went, like being a radio presenter in Cameroon, coupling it being a pastor? How was it like? How was the experience?
Wow, Joe, you are really X-raying me. You want me to take out
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
everything.
yeah, 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 yeah. I'm draining you.
All right, I grew up in a Christian background. We are Protestants by faith, and
Okay.
my mother had worked in the Presbyterian Church in Cameroon. We do have Presbyterian Church in Ghana.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's a sister church to us. My mother had worked in the church, and I grew up in the church.
Okay.
And it had been my mother's desire to see me walk in the same church where she
Mm,
worked for so many years. You get it? So in 2005, I was enrolled into the seminary. I
okay.
graduated from the seminary
Mm,
with a bachelor's degree, bachelor's in
in
theology
theology. Okay.
in 2008.
Okay.
2008, and the church posted me as an assistant pastor in the congregations. I worked for 2 years. I was ordained as a reverend pastor, and I was posted again to the central church, the head office of the church, where I was working as a chaplain uh, of the Presbyterian Comprehensive High School there, and working again as program administrator of the Christian Broadcasting Service, FM 95.3. That's the church's radio.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's where I built myself, not until in 2014 when I left.
You moved.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. That's interesting. So, um, I'll ask this not to, remember you of any emotional
No, that's fine.
stuff,
Right
but
on. Right on.
so like as a Christian as you are, and you said you lost both parents. How was it like for you, and you being the only child? How was it like?
Yeah, I'm first of all going to talk to you about my mom's death. It happened on the 24th of December, 2013. I
Mm.
was on the table in my sitting room preparing my sermon to preach in church, Christmas Eve service.
Yeah.
And suddenly a sister of mine called me to say, "Oh, mom just passed on." Now, at that time, I'm a counselor. I do counsel people who come to my
Mm.
office. We pray together. At that time, people were seated in my parlor. I couldn't react. I heard myself. I dashed into my room, though with the emotions,
Yeah.
tears ran down my eyes. You can't resist from that.
It's all right.
So I washed my face and I knelt down on my bed. I prayed for divine direction, and I came back to the parlor and I burst the news to the people who were there that okay, this has happened. My mom just passed away, and she's been taken to the mortuary. But then I was still very encouraged.
Mm.
I actually cancelled myself. I still went to church and I preached. Christmas Eve service. Everyone who
After
has
the
not been
news.
going to church for so long will come to church on that day after the news. And we have the leader of the presbytery. A presbytery is a zone that comprises so many congregations, and
Okay.
there's a leader of the presbytery whom we call presbyterial secretary. It was in his church that I was preaching, and immediately after church, during announcement, he announced and said, "Did you see the chaplain of the synod office preaching and dancing in church?
Hmm.
He just lost the mother.
Wow.
The mother is lying in the mortuary." Of course, you could hear the noise in the congregation, like, did this really happen? And this man is
It's
on the
still.
pulpit doing what he's doing, But then didn't really I didn't allow it to weigh me down. I
Mm.
used what I used to tell people in their situations to also counsel
Yeah.
myself,
Yeah.
and I was very strong.
Wow. Wow. This tells us that you are a really strong man. You're a really
Definitely, I'm
strong
a
man.
strong man because it
So,
also happened when my dad died.
mm,
Because of my ministerial positions, I was posted to another presbytery where it's really a missionary area. I was the administrator of that missionary area with 13 congregations.
okay.
It shares border with Nigeria. So once you are there, you can't communicate in Cameroon. So it happened that I crossed all the rivers to Nigeria, bought a SIM card to call back home to know how my
Was it
parents are
working?
doing. And you know what they told me? Your father died one
Wow.
week ago and it's in the mortuary. We are waiting for you.
And you didn't know.
I didn't know. So being a missionary, someone who is out there for the gospel, of course, I was still encouraged. I started moving till I got to Cameroon.
Wow. 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 Indeed, indeed, you are strong.
I'm
Indeed,
a
you are
strong
strong.
man. The
Yeah.
Lord is always my strength.
Sure, sure, sure. The Lord is our strength. So yes, let's come back to UAE. Let's come
Sure,
back to
sure,
UAE.
sure.
So, the receptionist job. Now you are in the receptionist job. Are you still in that line of service, or it's been 10 years?
All
Have
right.
you
The Lord
progressed?
has been so faithful in my life's journey.
Okay,
Now, working as a receptionist, I didn't work there for 2 years.
okay.
For working for 3 months, the administration, the management said, "No, Lawrence, what we see you doing at the reception, you are not supposed to be there." Of course, I'm a holder of a master's degree in
Mm,
business administration as well,
okay.
with my major being human resources. So I could manage operations, I could manage people. And working for 3 months, they said, "No, we can't allow you there." So I was immediately promoted to be the personal assistant of the owner of the company.
Wow.
He is the former director of Sharjah Immigration, who is running real estate businesses. He has so many towers. So I was his personal assistant, and I worked with him for 2 good years,
Great.
getting
Great.
even into the third one, not until I decided to move.
Okay.
Yeah. So while working with him,
Mm,
I still invested in myself.
I, mm,
I picked up a course again
mhm.
and studied and wrote the exam at the Skyline University in Sharjah.
Okay. Wow. 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 That's great. That's great. You know, it's not easy here in the UAE.
Definitely, it's not easy, but you can make it easy.
That's it.
Yeah, if you decide to invest in yourself to
Mm-hmm.
secure your future, things can always be easy. Some people just come here, they live so flamboyantly, they will just
Mm-hmm.
want to work and spend, go to clubs, dance, such a life.
Lavish life.
Yeah, it doesn't pay. I mean, but if you have a focus, if you have a direction, then you can always work towards that direction.
Okay. So currently what do you do now?
Currently,
Yeah.
I am working as director of sales for a company. We are manufacturer of cosmetics and perfumes.
Okay.
I'm director of sales for Africa. My geography is Africa. I am in between UAE and Africa.
Africa and the Middle East, let's say.
Well, Middle East is assigned to someone else, but
Okay,
my
but
specificity is Africa.
Africa. Africa. Wow. So aside, working, do you have anything that you do alongside, as apart from working as the director of that company? Do you have any personal businesses or things that you are doing
Well, I must
aside?
confess to you
Mm,
that I still have that as in mind, like a vision. It's a plan that I'm working
okay.
towards.
Okay.
I have plans of establishing a business, but it's not yet at its fruition yet.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but then I also assist the church here, the Presbyterian Church, because I'm no longer a full-time pastor of the
o-
Presbyterian Church since I left.
Okay.
Yeah. But then we established the church here in 2019, and it's been running for so many years right now, where I do most of the work in collaborations with the faithfuls there.
First, wow, wow, wow. That's really, really interesting. I believe the guys, we are really learning a lot from this discussion so far. So we'll go for another short commercial break. We'll be right back. Stay tuned. Family, welcome back. So we are still here with Mr. Lawrence Billy Graham from Cameroon, who is sharing us his interesting story from Cameroon down to UAE. So, Mr. Lawrence, can you run us through some of the challenges and difficulties you've had here in UAE? I know you've mentioned, the challenges in the bed space and all of that. So, aside that, are there any other challenges that you've gone through?
Yes, Joe, there are quite a good number of challenges, but I'm just going to mention a few.
Okay, sure.
You coming in from Africa, there is this notion of a UAE experience. When I just came new, I found it difficult to land myself good jobs. I'll use the word good
Good
jobs
jobs, yeah.
because of lack of experience.
Okay.
Sometimes also, I wouldn't say that people are racist, but once they see the skin color,
Mm,
there is that mentality
the
of
tag.
this one cannot do this, or even if he has to do this, we'll pay him this package. So that is a challenge because sometimes I look at my qualification and I look at what I'm doing, it's not
Mm.
commensurate. You get the point.
Yeah,
So
I
that
get.
was one of the challenges. And sometimes one of the challenges I had was getting a good job. You pass through people,
Mhm.
they screw money from you,
Hmm.
yet the jobs don't
They
come.
don't
I
come.
believe that this is a common phenomenon. People have faced these challenges. It's not only me, I believe.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so that's one of the challenges. And another challenge is moving from one company to the other.
Okay.
Yeah, it's often very, very difficult because um, some of our fellow Africans have spoiled the way. You might be a good
True.
applicant,
Yeah.
but because you are that fellow African, they say, no, this one, we don't want
We
him.
don't know
But
him.
you see that that is what you can actually do and you deserve it. So these are the challenges. Again, sometimes it comes to movement, like in this country, sometimes it's very hot, sometimes it's very cold. You need to drive a car
Yeah.
to walk a distance to go for the
In
CV application,
job interviews
dropping
and all
and
that.
stuff like that. It's quite challenging.
All right. All right. So, in your job search, did you encounter some of these agents who took your money and, you know, did it really get to you? Like,
Well, actually, it's a long story which I really wouldn't want to mention here. But
okay.
then I would really rather advise
Mhm.
that our fellow Africans should avoid or desist treating fellow Africans
Like
in the way
that.
that they are doing, considering that we are in a diaspora land. Because I
Exactly.
believe that
Exactly.
we should rather be one another's keeper. If you see a
Yeah.
fellow African who is also struggling just like you struggle, to stretch a
Help.
helping hand
Help.
rather than a screen
That's
from that person and putting more difficulties in the life of that person.
yeah. That's very true. So, if you are out there, you are like an agent who is trying to extort money, knowing that you don't have any job for us, please, please, let's desist from that kind of behaviors because we are all here to struggle to make ends meet. Yeah. So, Mr. Lawrence, I would like to ask, have you traveled aside, UAE? Have you traveled any other country?
Honestly,
Yeah.
sometimes people say that my home is in the sky.
Mm.
Yeah, my home is in the sky. They call my phone, they can't find me. They come to my house, they cannot see me. Sometimes my wife complains I'm always in the sky.
Yeah, yeah.
I travel from one country to the
A
other.
lot. Yeah.
I go to Africa most often. I go to Europe. It's really a wonderful experience.
Globetrotting.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow, that is good. So, um, since we're talking about, moving into different cultures, diasporas, can you tell us your favorite, let me say your favorite food? You've tasted a lot of African cuisines, I can imagine, but what's your favorite food?
Wow. Well, I'm not a lover of rice,
Okay.
but I love Ghanaian rice.
Jollof.
Jollof rice, that's how it's called.
There is this battle going on, the Ghana Jollof and
I
the
know, right?
Nigerian Jollof. It,
Yes, I
it
know,
is
right?
it is really, really going on.
And of course, Cameroon also has jollof rice.
Jollof,
So
but still you are vouching for the Ghana Jollof.
well, I love Ghanaian jollof, but I'll not say I prefer it over because that from Cameroon is still very good.
It's still very good. Okay, we are not going to fight about that, but since you said Ghana Jollof is cool, then hey, I believe our Nigerian friends are now,
Well, yeah,
they,
they
they
know.
they will start fighting under the comments.
Well,
I
they
know.
shouldn't fight because the rice, their jollof rice is also good.
Anyway, all right. So yeah, so now we are gradually drawing the curtains to an end. So, any advice for Africans who want to come into the UAE to make ends meet? Recently, we've realized that there are a lot of people who come and they try to make like quick money. They're trying to get money quick. They don't want to go through any kind of struggle at all. What advice do you have for such people?
Thank you so much, Joe, for this wonderful question. Dear televiewers out there, if you are watching us right now, the little advice I'll give to you, and if you are aspiring to come to UAE, I'll advise you to seek proper information, make inquiries
Mm,
about UAE, what prevails in UAE, what it takes in UAE to get a good job. And once you get that and you've successfully come into the country, be patient. Don't hurry to make quick money,
Mm.
because it is in course of hurrying to make quick money that you entangle yourself into difficulties, you fall into the hands of agents, and you start crying foul.
Mm.
You get my point?
I get it.
And when once you come into the country, endeavor to invest in yourself.
Good.
There is this notion of certificates coming from the Middle East or from UAE that gives you more advantage. If you pick up a course, there are
Mhm.
so many certified courses online, free courses, some paid. Pick up one for 3 months, 6 months, and get a diploma. With that, you will improve upon in your academic background. And thirdly, live a life different from the ordinary.
Good.
Don't do what. Let me not do what you are doing because I see you doing it.
Doing it. That's it.
If you have a vision, if you have a focus, live your life and pursue your course to achieve that focus. Not because you, Joe, you spend all your time in church, or not because you, Joe, you spend all your time in how do you call those places? Clubs.
Clubs. Yeah.
Uh-huh. I will also want to spend time with you. No, you have a different goal. I have a different one. So live a life different from others. That is the best advice I could give to most youths who want to come into this country.
Yes. So we all have to live a life that befits us, not
Correct.
look at someone and then you also applying that path because that may not be your path. Okay, so we are wrapping up. So just some, quick, interesting teasers for Mr. Lawrence. So Bankun or rice?
Rice.
Tea or coffee?
Coffee
Coffee. All right.
with milk.
Coffee with milk. Gospel or reggae?
Gospel.
Gospel
Gospel.
throughout. Huh?
Gospel throughout.
I shouldn't
You
expect
come to my house, you
anything
will never
different.
hear anything reggae. It's gospel. Sometimes my friend don't like to come to my house.
Okay. So, Ghana or South Africa? Which one will you like to visit a lot?
Hmm, a tough one here. A tough one here. South Africa.
South Africa. Okay. Okay. All right, Mr. Lawrence. Very nice having you here on K Official. We are really, really blessed to have you here. We know that our viewers have really, really learned a lot from you. And I think we'll put some of the things in practice and it will benefit us. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank
We
you,
are
Joe, for
really
having me. I'm
privileged.
impressed.
All right. All right.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. All right. So, viewers, this is another episode of my UAE story. And we had Mr. Lawrence Billy Graham from Cameroon with us to have a bit of chit chat. And I believe that we have really enjoyed. And as we promise, stay tuned. We'll bring you yet another sensational episode of my UAE story. Shia.